Next, I would like to introduce Erica Horn. Erica Horn met Michael around 1972 at a poetry reading that she went to with Jean Burson, organized by Tom Cousin. She and Michael talked about how Plato said that poets were liars and should be kicked out of society. Michael said that was BS. She liked his snarky sense of humor. After he met the love of his life, Judith, they all became friends. They had many evenings of drinking wine and reading poetry. Michael was always a poet and became even more dogged about his poetic path from which he never strayed.
Wow.
Eric?
Do you want to sit?
Yeah. This is a short poem of Michael's from his book. It's called The History of Laughter. It's a very The woman's voice was trapped inside the river Kronos. It hung to silt and fish glide, moth in torrential distance. It was old Winter himself who intervened, fishing the stiff voice out. "You owe me," he said, "half your love poured on stones. We'll call it laughter."
Next, I'll be introducing Eugene Burson. Eugene, we had to shorten the intro a little bit. Hope it's okay.
He's very verbal.
Eugene met Michael during the 70s at small poetry salons that included Tom Cousin, Anne Valley Fox, Steve Schutzman, Robert Gluck, Erica Horn, Opal Nation's Dirk Kortz, and others. They were wonderful salons, though I was a bit tentative to take full advantage of these wonderful people and their work. Michael was a bit like the prow of a ship when he stood up to read, solid, centered, speaking beyond himself from embittering knowledge of the world and continuing assaults made on it, but often redeemed by that humor of his. It takes great love and stamina for humor like that, for it requires you to look at the world as it really is and not succumb to cynicism. Michael was not cynical. He was transcendent, deceptively so, because he often spoke in his dry, L.A. Raymond Chandler Bukowski delivery, almost with a wry growl below the surface. For some years, he'd come by for dinner. I loved his stories. Eugene Burson?
Yeah.
Well, I believe in this program I was supposed to read 10,000 Tigers or something.
$100,000.
But actually, what I would like to read and what I sent was Man Bites Tiger, because I'm sure everyone knows, you know, Michael was incensed at poaching of animals to keep old men virile and so forth. But this particular poem, which deals with that theme, has a very original humor to it, ending with, well, you'll focus on the ending. Man bites tiger. News item: elderly Chinese merchant found dead from overdose of ground tiger testicles. Lacking a harem, he began frequenting prostitutes on the Dong Dock side of Hangzhou. Each night, after a daily bread of Japanese electronics, he opens the numbered bag of dried loin, number 808, or was it 208? Among defunct registered Siberian tigers, rare as blue snow lions in a pure land. Buddhist dream, watching his ragged yellow gunner surge and stiffen to a power stalk too long for depths of wife or mistress. Even the pros of Joy Street learn to shun the Tiger Man, seeking the rapid gold of accountants, lacking such a swelling jungle baggage, pacing, swinging solitary side to side. At some point, no partner needed, he began to sniff the vanished cat's powdered crotch on lines across a shell-backed mirror like gray cocaine. It was in this respect that they found him. Empty mirror, old wives' tale, and old man, hard, member, waved at morning like a flag, and no tigers anywhere.
As a poet lay dying.
The day that Michael died, I wrote this in the morning. I didn't know he was dying, but I had this little experience. As a poet lay dying, as a poet lay dying, the sun reveals the empty swimming platform rocking in the lake. Its green astroturf covering seems to glow, an irony that wouldn't have been wasted on him. It glows and rocks and is empty. Waves arrive, carrying shards of silver, turning into shards of reflected sky, both carried by the pre-dawn black lake. Waves arrive to pay homage to what is not there. As a poet lay dying, cars pass, pulling surf behind them. Someone opens her blinds. The red light on the coffee machine stays on. As a poet lay dying, something startles a flock from a tree. A sudden, thunderous flapping of wings, as if the leaves have burst into birds, finally free. It's around 6 a.m. Now I know he has gone. All the voices he harnessed have taken off. But he is finally within us, within them. Like leaves, like birds, many voices fly out, calling him by many names. We who knew him by one hear Michael Michael, Michael, in the ceaseless waves.
Thank you, Eugene. Next, I'll be introducing Barbara Wright. She will be reading Names in a Jar and Farm Horses in a Full Moon. From Barbara Wright. We met at Cal State Fullerton in 1965 or 6. Thus began a conversation filled with philosophy and whimsy, all in the spirit of deep affection that lasted for the next 48 years.
Michael had an amazing way of seeing the ordinary and the extraordinary together and could mix them up and make them splendid for us to experience. I'm not going to give you the history on this because it speaks for itself. Names in a jar. Sometimes all Arena Sandler remembered was a detail. The names of the children written on scraps of paper, buried in 2 jars in a neighbor's backyard. 97 now. She wheels towards a patch of sunlight in the nursing home recreation room. Sits there all afternoon, rooted like a river oak. She and some friends had smuggled Jewish children from Warsaw Ghetto in those days. Sometimes in large black purses, sometimes in baskets covered with blankets, slipping under the eyes of the German guards like fish sliding underneath the net. When the Gestapo caught up with her, all they wanted was the names. The torture would stop, they informed her, when she gave them the names. When her flesh seared and her thick Polish body registered waves of pain, she came right to the edge of madness once, seeing the interrogators human with wolf faces, seeing the names of scraps fluttering inside the jar like butterflies, banging against the glass, wanting to live. That's why she endured, why she never told them. Nothing matters now, not medals, not visitors, not old labels. Righteous among the nations, only that they wanted to live. Now, this one is, I was visiting some friends in Missouri, and we were having dinner, and there was a full moon out, and all of a sudden my host says, "Oh my God, we didn't feed the horses." Okay? So out we go, and we get these feeding bags and hang them on the fence. And as we went out, I had this lovely experience that I had never had before. And I called and told Michael about it. And so this is what happened. Farm horses in a full moon. This full moon, gaining traction above a stand of oaks. The horses can hardly contain themselves. Like restless children, they call among shadows, singing some tune long ago honed in their blood, dancing on a stage between meadow and moon, their beauty a liquid copper, flowing in a night alive.